Welcome to the Mass Appeal podcast. Our mission is to empower both aspiring and seasoned real estate investors with the knowledge and tools needed for success. Each episode, we engage with leading experts on health, wealth, and investment strategies. Now, let's meet your host, Renee Masse. With over 30 years as an entrepreneur and 10 as a realtor, Renee brings a wealth of experience in real estate investing, specializing in multifamily properties, student rentals, and land optimization strategies. Join him as he speaks with industry experts and shares practical tips to help you navigate the real estate landscape.
Awesome. Ian, thanks for joining us. And for those who may not know Ian, so let me just give you an idea. This guy's from Halifax. He's a real estate investor, entrepreneur, business owner to the core. You got a roofing business, plus you've done a lot of flips. You've been going at this for what, 4 or 5 years now?
Yeah, real estate wise, yeah.
Real estate wise, you do some JV partnerships, and it's all in Halifax or Truro. And this is pretty amazing. And also, you seem to you manage a large portfolio as well.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you for the introduction. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, excited to tell a little bit of my story. Hopefully that can guide some others. Because yeah, done some good things, but done a lot of bad things on the way and
Of
learned from a lot
course.
of failure. So happy to share those because I find those much more helpful than me just coming on and saying, this is how you do it. This is blah,
Of
blah, blah.
course, of course. So how did you get started? Tell us the story of your beginning.
Yeah, so starting, my origin story in the investor business world is not all that unique, and I'm sure many of your listeners have had a similar path. While at university, I stumbled across Rich Dad Poor Dad,
Yep.
and that literally changed the whole course of my life. Like,
What was there a
I guess,
specific word or sentence? What was there a chapter in there that just kind of made you click?
yeah, passive income. That,
That word, you like that word.
that word resonated with me more than any combination of words in any textbook or any lecture or anything like that. It was the idea that, or just the fundamental idea that trading your time for money is not something that I wanted to sign up for.
And
It's
what
been
were you
something.
studying in university?
So I was studying. So at the time, I was mostly studying football and partying. But for classes, I originally thought I wanted to be a lawyer.
Yep.
Both my parents were in lawyer, so I was comfortable with that type of thing. So I was in an arts program at Queen's University.
No way.
And yeah,
I know Queens
yeah,
very well. I went to Queens as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
You're an alumni. Awesome.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, so I was doing that, and then I read Rich Dad Poor Dad and instantly knew that I wanted to start businesses, do all that type of stuff. So I then took as many business courses as I could. Then the school business is separate from like the arts program, so I
Mhm.
actually didn't finish up at Queens. I did 2 years there, then went did some traveling, then came back to Nova Scotia. Then did 2 more years at Acadia University
Yep.
and did all business there and started my first company, which was my roofing company, Refined
Cool.
Roofing. And with the full intentions to grow that business to the point that I could then start getting into the more real estate side of things, which has always been the long-term goal since reading Rich Dad Poor Dad.
So
So
what was your first purchase? Can you tell us the story
so
about your first purchase?
yeah, first purchase. So this was about probably about 9 years ago. So I was looking at a host that I could purchase and add a secondary suite or a second unit to it.
Yep.
So that was my first purchase in the north end of Halifax. I am actually recording this still in that house today. So
Oh,
uh,
cool.
yeah, so I bought it back again like 8, 10 years ago. So I bought it for like 250,000, and it's, probably just under a million now with adding the second unit, with doing all that stuff, and just where the real estate market has gone in the last few years. I've refinanced that probably 2 or 3 times
Ah,
now.
love it.
Yeah, pulled out, probably $300,000-400,000 to help
Cool.
other things. So it was, relatively boring purchase at the time. Then put the second unit in. I Airbnb'd the second unit for a while, but then rules changed again here in Halifax, and now it's just a long-term unit. Tenants downstairs are awesome, and I live in my first home, like basically. I might have to pay about 500 bucks out of pocket, and the
Cool.
tenant
Oh man, that's
whichever.
amazing. So,
Yes.
I know a lot of listeners are actually listening from Ontario, and they're known. A lot of people know the duplex conversion. What does it look like in Halifax? Like, what are their criteria? I know every municipality may have different criteria. Like Belleville, you cannot have 3 bedrooms in the basement, but in Kingston you can. In Ajax, you cannot have. I believe it's Tatum. You can have Tatum, but in other places, Tatum parking is not an issue. What does it look like in Halifax?
Yeah, so all of that in the last few months has gone through a radical change.
Okay.
But the so now, like, pretty much everything, like, every house can now have a secondary unit. If depending on where it's located, a lot of lots, if you have the street frontage and lot size, you can build like 4 units up to 8 units. And pretty much anything on the main drives of Halifax, or main streets of Halifax, you can get up to like 8 units. So we've gone through a big change. Not all of it's finalized, but that's certainly the way that things are pushing. Now, the big difference for me, or one thing that I look at, and I've now done this a handful of times,
Mhm.
is there's a big difference between adding a secondary unit and adding a secondary suite. So for me, it's like it's way less hoops to jump through to just put in a secondary suite. It, at the end of the day, will give you pretty much the same appraised value and the same value, all that stuff. But there's a lot less hoops you got to jump through for soundproofing, fire
Yeah.
safety, all that type of stuff. So back when I bought it, all you had to do was find like an R2 zoned house, and with a layout that was conducive to adding a secondary unit. I found a house that met that criteria. It had a big furnace and like a whole storage room and all that stuff. So it was quick to get away with all that, and then ripped all that out, ripped the staircase out, and just put in the secondary unit there, got the occupancy permit, and was off to the races.
Awesome. Any challenges along the way? Like, did you something that was difficult or took long? I mean, most often people would with renovations, as you may agree, it always takes a bit longer and more costly than expected. Like, what did you encounter?
So this one actually went pretty well. Like again, being in the construction industry, had a lot of contacts to call upon to get things done. I like general contracting myself, so I was calling buddies. I was down there with a jackhammer digging
Good, good. Yeah.
trenches, and it was pretty hands-on for me early on. And then just went high end finishes, all that stuff. Um, for challenges on that one, no, it was, I guess, just going through the zoning process. That would have been my first time,
Mhm.
and not really knowing who to call or what I could get away with. Whereas now, just the experience of doing it now, that's not even anything that I really have to worry with. But when you're first starting off, yeah, navigating the permit process can certainly be a bit tricky. So,
So what do you suggest to people who are
yes.
contemplating doing this?
Yeah, same with most of my suggestions. Is find someone that's done it, lean on them,
Mm.
ask questions, because they can give you like a lot of shortcuts. Because most cities are going to spell it out, in the most complicated way possible, when really it's super straightforward.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely reach out. Anyone that has done anything in that space, they can certainly be a valuable resource for shaving off a lot of headache. And like, yeah, again, the permitting process here, like, again, me helping out other buddies do this type of stuff. Like, they just started the permit process. They were filling out the wrong permit. It was asking them for a million different things they were spending all their time trying to figure out, the elevations and the sewage inputs and all this stuff. And I was like, if you're just doing a secondary suite, you don't need to do any of that stuff.
Mhm.
So just, yeah, if you have someone that you can reach out to, certainly helps.
What's interesting with your story is that you went to university and then jumped into the trades, which is unusual. I did the exact same thing.
Yep.
Now, what did you like? That's usually not the way it works, but what was your mindset and your way of thinking to do such a route?
Oh yeah, I know. It was again, just put all my faith, all my belief into Rich Dad Poor Dad to know that that's a way to do it. So, to tell my parents, both were lawyers,
Yep.
that I'm dropping out of university to
Yeah, good
become
one.
a
Yeah,
roofer.
what did they say?
They were supportive and stuff, but they said, let's really consider this. Is this the best idea? Same with a lot of my friends at the time, and just like, yeah, it definitely seemed like a big step back, but it was actually like a big catapult forward for all the other things
Yeah, yeah.
that were.
That's it's funny. It's similar because when I did the similar thing, people thought I was on drugs or they didn't understand what was going on. They're like, "What are you? You're a teacher. What about this summer off, the pension
Yeah,
plan, and all that?" I was like, "No, this is not for me." So
yeah,
well done, kudos to you. And I think it's going to be
yes,
more and more common because the trades is really, if it can be done properly, there's a lot of profitability.
oh
It's lucrative,
yeah,
and if it's well organized, you can really scale very well and grow fast with it.
absolutely. Yeah.
Tell me more about how you structure the JV partnerships and who you work with ideally with your joint ventures.
Yeah, so I'll before we get into that, we'll
Yep.
go into the next chapter of my life. And so
Yep.
that was getting into flipping houses.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, so I did, probably about 10 different flips, doing all that stuff. So yeah, chronologically it was the flips, and then we'll get into more the
Cool. Cool.
multifamily.
So where did you find the flips and how did that go about?
Yeah, so and then from this point in my life, really leaned on another huge resource, which I'm sure your listeners are also familiar with. I lived, ate, and breathed rich or bigger pockets.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I lived in the forums. I listened to every podcast. I literally just took little
You're a
bits of
disciple. You were a disciple. You weren't just a follower,
yes,
you're a
yeah,
disciple.
absolutely. Yeah, no, it's and if this is the world you want to live in, these are the pillars of this world. So
Can you
yeah,
share
leaned
something
in
that you learned
heavily.
from it? Did you share something like, can you share something that you learned that was very powerful, very, very deep, like they're pillars in your structure now?
Just so I guess just the mindset of everything. So
Yep.
learning about minds just to begin with, that the big mindset switch to drop out of university, to work for myself, all that stuff, like just to get reassurance. And not to say that when I did that like my roofing company just took off. Like it was a struggle and a grind out the gate. Same with everything that I've done. Like it's all difficult. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it, but
Right
it
on. Yes.
definitely difficult. A lot of struggles, things that you didn't even know you'd be struggling with, you are struggling with. And just to hear so many people on the podcast talk about the same things. They struggled out the gate, and then they figured their niche or their path or their strategy, leaned into that, and then really saw things take off from there. So again, out there trying to find houses to buy, and just hearing about how many other people out there, how hard it was, but now they're doing 30, 40 flips a month, or they own 1,000 units or whatever it is. Just to take a little bit from their stories, apply some of that to what I'm doing, and like all that type of stuff. It's like just if you can get in the groove of doing that day in and day out, and you keep applying things that you've learned and you stay consistent with those, that's really where I saw
The
saw the
progress, the success comes about.
progress.
Yeah, the consistency. I think consistency is the big part, because a lot, if they don't see results right away, they just quit, or it fizzes out. But if you
Yeah.
keep with it over and over, there's progress. It's not a
Oh,
smooth ride
absolutely.
at times, but it's a bumpy ride, and there's
Oh,
wins and
very
losses
much so.
along the way. But it's all part
Yep.
of it.
That's the fun in it. And I'll borrow a line that I heard from a Bigger Pockets podcast that what you really should be doing, like a mindset piece,
Yep.
is putting the process on the pedestal. So it's not about making $100,000 on this flip or doing that and that. It's about, let's just figure out what are the main things that I have to be consistent at. Is it following up
Mm,
with potential sellers? Is it, reaching out on Kijiji for sale by owners, every Wednesday at 3 o'clock? Is
yep.
it, whatever those main things that are going to be driving your business? If you can prioritize those and say that, if I'm successful, if I get these things done, then it's like the other things are going to fall into
I love it.
place.
I love it.
So
So rather than that's great, great idea, because rather than thinking about the results, and often they're not there, you're focused on the process, how many
yeah,
phone calls you're making, or how many people you're talking to, right? And the results will be there. I think that's definitely very valuable starting off, and even for anybody who's doing this. That's great. Thanks.
yeah, absolutely. So, and just like another example would be like, I just heard one in one of the podcasts that it was like, like one actionable step that you can do today to get into real estate is just go to your Kijiji or whatever your local listing
Craigslist,
services
or
is.
yeah,
Yeah, Craigslist, whatever it is, Facebook Marketplace, and go on and just post an ad that says like, I buy homes, like distressed properties, all this stuff. I heard that on a podcast, and I put that on my Kijiji here,
yeah.
and no word of a lie, like 2 weeks later, I had someone reach out and they were like, we need to get out of this house right away, all this stuff. So this is in Dartmouth. So this is just right across in like the Twin City of
Yep.
Halifax, just across the bridge. I went, met with them, and they were dead set on selling the house as fast as possible, getting out of there, and away we go. So
What
this
was
is
your
probably
situation?
5, 6. So they were getting some siding work done, and their siders told them that the house wasn't safe to live in because of a little structural thing in the bottom, and like it really wasn't that big of a deal. But they were also over leveraged on just even doing the siding job. So they were
Okay.
at a point where they wanted to get out of there. They didn't know anything on the house. They'd been there forever. They just wanted to move into an apartment and live out the rest of their days. So I offered on their home $50,000,
Yep.
and they countered at 62,000, and I said done. So in
Wait a second.
2 weeks of
What year was this? 1972? Like,
this is like, no, this is like 4 or 5 years ago. Then I put like 40, maybe $50,000 into the property, and
yeah.
ended up selling it for 250 or something like that.
Awesome.
So it was like the easiest flip, and it just
Awesome.
like fell into my lap. Like, it's like there was like nothing to it. And again, that was just like by listening to Bigger Pockets all the time, listening to all the things that you just take these little tidbits that you hear throughout the process and you apply them what you're doing. And this was one that, yeah, it's just like looking back, it just seems so fortuitous. But like, I was beating my head against the wall trying to get into real estate, trying to just like move
All you
forward
had to
in
do was
that
put up an
business.
ad.
And this was just,
Are you ready to supercharge your real estate investments? You're in the right place. Many listeners of the Mass Appeal podcast might not know this, but Rene Masse is a licensed realtor with Rockstar Real Estate and a key player on the Buy-in Kingston team. With decades of experience and a diverse portfolio of satisfied clients, the Buy-in Kingston team is dedicated to helping investors like you succeed. They provide a comprehensive, full-service suite of solutions tailored for investors, designed to maximize your cash flow and enhance your return on investment. Ready to unlock your next cash flow opportunity? Book a discovery call at buyinkingston.com today, and let's start building your real estate empire together.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's little things like that, like, it like takes no energy, no effort, and you could get yourself a deal just by doing that type of
That's
stuff.
awesome.
So,
That's awesome. All right. So
so
how'd you jump into a JV partnership? Like you must
yeah,
have gotten a lot of
so
attention.
yep. So yeah, it brings me to the next phase of my life. So yeah, I was flipping all these homes and it was going well, learned a lot of things, but then I just like realized to myself, like, I am still just trading my time for money. Like, it's on a different thing. It's something I'm enjoying. Again, came with its own headaches and hurdles and everything, but realized that that I'm not building up a portfolio, that I just created another job for myself.
Sure.
So then the focus certainly shifted to, I want to get into some multifamily.
Yep.
So another good strategy that was attracting like my flips was direct mail. So it was something that I was doing quite a bit of,
Mm.
sending out batches of mail, like driving around, finding distressed properties, looking up who owned it, and sending them a piece of letter or a piece of mail. And so then I switched the strategy to, now let's start doing this to some of these multifamily buildings. So did that, and a few weeks later got a call from someone that had an old 8 unit building that definitely needed a lot of work. Tenants were paying 500-600 bucks a month, and but it was in like an up and coming area, all
Yep.
that good stuff. So went in, started negotiating with them. At this point, learned how to underwrite these deals properly
Hmm.
to figure out, if I got rents up to X amount, my expenses are X amount, what's the value of the building going to be?
Yep.
Can
The
I do
NOI.
a per
Sure.
Yeah, can I get like a perfect burr on this deal? So gave him an offer based on where things were and where I could get them. And after a little bit of negotiating, yeah, I got that under contract
Cool.
for, it
So
was like,
what did he want? Like, where were his criteria?
again, just went, build a lot of rapport with him. He wanted someone that was younger and wanted to do right by the building, all that good stuff.
Hmm.
So he didn't give me a price. We just worked that out. So I worked it out based on the NOI and based on the comps and all that good stuff, and came to a purchase price of, like, I think it was about 825, which again was a wicked deal. This was probably 4 years ago.
Hmm.
And we said, yeah, that's great. And I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna need somewhere in the ballpark of, $500,000 to close on this and to reno it and all that good stuff.
Oh,
Uh,
so
so
where'd you get the funds?
so that's when, yeah, I started drawing on the network.
Cool.
So I was like, okay, who's some high net individuals that definitely want to get into some real estate type of stuff? And with that, I just went through the Rolodex, called up a few people, and finally landed on someone that said, yeah, this is a great deal. So then we partnered up. At the time, did a 50-50 JV split where they put up all the money, I do
Yep.
all the work. And that's what we did. So that was a real dive into how multifamily works, dealing with the tenants and stuff. The construction was nothing like crazy to me.
Hmm.
Dealing with the tenants, so trying to get tenants out to get in and renovate those units, do all that stuff.
Yeah.
That was like another new steep learning curve, and learned
So what'd you learn from that? Give me a
oh
quick story
man.
along with that.
Yeah, I know we have similar tenancy laws and how
Yeah.
protected they are. In this case, was able to do a lot of cash for keys. So a
Cool.
lot of
Really?
people, yeah, no, it just so happened to work out that people were keen to move in this area, and so that was it. So on this one, I got lucky. Didn't have to go to like the tenancy board at all.
Nice.
Uh, yeah, so it was just negotiating one after another, and it went pretty smooth. We only had one big flood, which also led to freeing up another unit due to some frozen pipes.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, overall, looking back, it was stressful at the time, but here we are now, and like the building's probably worth $2.5 million.
Nice.
They're all, into the around that 2000 mark, and converted everything from from natural, or from oil or propane, I forget on that one, all to electric baseboard. Tenants pay
Hmm.
their own power, utilities, all that stuff. So the building efficiency went through the roof, and the rents all doubled, and
That's
yeah.
cool. That's really cool. So some people may be hearing this and going, listen, I mean, that was Ian, that was great timing. You stepped in at the right time. Like now there's no deals anymore. Like what do you tell these people?
Now, no, it's like maybe, peak of COVID, there was no deals, and or there was fewer deals, or they were harder to come by. All of my properties, all but maybe one or two, were off the MLS. So I'm a
Really?
huge, yeah, huge off market guy. So if you're looking for stuff on the market, there's going to be a fewer and further deals in to find, or you're gonna have to just put a lot of money into them, or whatever it might be. But that would be my advice, is definitely go the off market route. That's I could do a whole podcast on finding
Yeah.
market deals, but direct mail's been a huge one. When I go get like, I've got VAs and stuff doing it for me now, but like anything that goes on like the Kijiji or marketplace, whether it's for sale by owner or for rent by owner, all of them are getting a message saying, "Hey, have you given any thought to selling?"
Yeah.
And a lot of times, like I don't know what it's like in Toronto right now, but even in Halifax, the rental market's definitely softening. So things are sitting, our vacancy's still very low,
Yeah.
but it's
Same in
taking,
Ontario. Same in
yeah,
Ontario. It's softened a bit in certain municipalities. It's halted.
yeah. So a great opportunity for anyone that, especially if they're not able to rent it out, that
Hmm.
they're bleeding a bit. So yeah, that's been, I've definitely bought properties that way. So things like that, as well as still driving for dollars. Another 8 unit I bought in Halifax, same deal. Saw a distressed property. Actually found the owner on social media, and started talking with them, and you could just tell by the look of the property that they really didn't care about it. So
Okay.
got another 8 unit building there for like 600,000, and that's probably now worth, almost 2 million as well, after going through all the renos and everything. So yeah, that'd be my advice, is yeah, stop looking at the MLS and start looking at how you can generate leads off market. So
Definitely. Oh yeah, definitely. So I mean, you're a new father now. Like well, you're progressing well. What does it look like in 5, 10 years? What are you leading up to?
yeah.
What's the why? What keeps you going?
Yeah, is that ever pursue of that passive income, and it's harder in Canada, especially to like be able to live off cash flow or anything like that. So I'm still chasing that passive income. Right now, it's been a lot of build up the net worth, but again, things are just so expensive here that it's really hard to find a deal that's going to cash flow. And once you start seeing, like, on all my buildings on paper are all cash flowing, but it just like, things just seem to still be funneling their way back into the deal and doing all that stuff. So really, it's a lot of you get to live from refi to refi,
Yeah.
and that's when you can
Yeah,
really
yeah.
like taking out some money. Yeah, I'm not sure if you read in the bio and stuff. So then I guess the next step after all my endeavors here is me and some partners actually put our heads together and we went down to the States and started
Cool.
shopping. So
Oh, where
uh,
about?
so we're in Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So we actually combined, we bought about 100 units down there over the last that was last year or so. And just doing the same thing at a slightly larger scale. So we've got some wicked property managers, boots on the grounds down there.
Nice.
And so we bought 100 units and we've already stabilized one of them, did our first refinance, paying out our investors on that. But yeah, it's just graduating up to that level. That's been really enjoyable because it's been like I've never met one of my tenants down there. I don't know any of them. It's all a little bit more removed.
Hmm.
Uh,
More hands
so
off.
yeah,
And
very.
why did you choose Cleveland? And you must have gone there and ventured out yourself to kind of get a sense
Yeah.
on what was going on.
Yeah. Cleveland because they have ultra friendly landlord laws. So if you're not paying rent, it's super easy to evict people. It's super affordable to get into the market down there.
Yeah.
Like we're buying stuff at about 40, 50,000 a unit.
Wow.
And yeah, oh yeah. And then we're refinancing at 70, 80. And we know once it's fully stabilized in the next few years, we can get it up to probably about 100,000 a unit.
Cool.
So those are the big things. I guess it's the gross rent multiplier is the actual metric we use. If you look at anything up here, you're basically looking how long at the current rents will it take to pay that asset off. Down there, we're still getting the 1,000 to 1,500 in rents, but everything's like a third of the price or a fourth of the price. So that was huge. There's also huge, like Section 8. That's a huge thing that we
What's
do.
Section 8?
So that's government subsidies. So, we might have a unit down there that might if we were to just rent market rents, maybe 1,200. If we get these Section 8 tenants in there, you're getting that 1,500, 1,550 in rent. So they'll
So it's
pay
subsidized
more.
by the government.
Yep, they pay more. You get it every month. It's on time. They've actually been probably better renters than some of our self-pays. There's, the stigma around that they're going to be worse tenants, but we found that they've been awesome tenants because if they lose their Section 8 vouchers, they're called, then they're not going to be able to afford a place that's well maintained, looked after, and cared for. So it's in their best interest to make sure they're dealing with or they're following all the rules and they're
Can
not
you give
causing.
us an example of a rule? I mean, this seems like a better system than Ontario because we've got support systems here, but
Yep.
it doesn't seem to,
Yeah,
it
so rules
seems to
for
be
them
pretty.
yeah, so they would have to still pay a portion of their rent. Normally, for them, it depends on their income, but they
Yep.
still have to contribute anywhere from 4, 5, 6, $700. So they have to pay on time. They can't have a bunch of noise complaints. They can't get
Mm.
evicted, anything like that. So they've been great tenants. We've been happy to have them, and they've definitely made this process pretty easy. So
That's pretty cool. I mean, are there less people living on the streets? Like in Ontario, it seems like there's every municipality. It's a huge problem.
yeah. So they would still have some down there. So yeah, I've been to Cleveland a handful of times now. And from when I first went to where I am now, just seeing the amount of development they have going on down there is mind blowing. Like they're building, like they have areas down there that are like just as nice as areas where you just like step out in your backyard and look. And then they do have areas that are really rough. So they just have such a larger population down there. Like Cleveland, like Ohio is down there, maybe the 25th biggest city, whereas if it was up here in Canada, it might be the third largest
Yeah.
city in
Really? What's the
up north.
population of Cleveland?
A
Is it a
couple million, I
million?
want to
A million or
say.
two?
I think it's about 2.3 million.
2.3. Wow.
Um, yeah, which again would be a major, major city up here, and down
Yeah.
there it's a whatever city. So
It's one of the 20.
yeah, exactly.
So this is less hands-on, but you're still enjoying it and you're still choosing. You're not doing any renovations or the management of it.
Yeah, so what we do with this, so a lot of it is obviously identifying good properties. Then our property managers, they go in and handle it. We meet weekly with them. So a lot of the heavy lifting for us is finding the deals. So we source quite a bit of deals down there.
Mhm.
Then raising the funds for it. So we set it
Yeah.
up as for simplicity's sake as a big joint venture.
Yes.
Then then we just meet with the property managers. We decide what renovations we want to do, in what order, what we want to do with tenants that might not be paying or whatever it is, because a lot of it is getting out the bad tenants, getting in good tenants.
Cleaning it
So
up, stabilizing it. Yeah.
yeah, stabilizing it. So we do quite a bit of that. But yeah, we're now back. We're actively shopping. I'm actively shopping in Halifax as well. Just like things have really cooled off. There's less demand out there. So
So,
now's the
so let
perfect.
me ask you, Ian, how much of your time is spent on just looking for deals?
That'd be a lot of it. Yeah. I do. I'm the one that does a lot of the underwriting on a lot of our properties down there, up here, all that stuff. So I'm a big I like to nerd out and look at what can be done and where buildings could be taken. So a lot of it is yeah, underwriting deals. We'll buy deals on the market down there when because there's more they just have way more stock down there.
Mhm.
We've started up or we're in the process of starting up some of our off-market campaigns down there as well.
Cool. So do you
So
work, you work, I imagine you work with realtors down there as well.
yeah, yep,
Yeah.
definitely. So yeah, I've been doing so yeah, now we're in fine deals here. So I've in Halifax had a lot of mailers going out recently with one of my partners up here. And down there we're still just tweaking that systems, but we're still analyzing deals. We're putting in offers, all that good stuff down there. So yeah, do all that, and then I don't know if it was mentioned, but I'm also a realtor up here, so I'm also
Oh, okay.
helping yeah, helping
Cool.
clients find deals here too. So I mostly am with investors, but
Cool.
yeah.
That's cool. I'm a realtor as well. So
Yeah, yeah,
with a lot of hats, I can
yeah,
imagine.
exactly.
One more question I had. What kind of JV partner do you usually work with? If someone was saying, I like what you're doing, this sounds really good. I want to get involved in Halifax or Cleveland.
Yep. Yeah, people that again, some of our investors they have a base knowledge of real estate, what
Yep.
we're doing, all that stuff. Some people are, I don't care, just send me the money, give me my quarterly update, and go from there. So wide array of
Do you give
investors.
them fixed amounts or is it equity share take?
Equity. Yeah, so
Equity.
I've done both.
Yep.
On a lot of the stuff I like to do is yeah, equity. So you come in, you're a partner on the deal. When you get, as much of the upside as much as the downside, you bring the money to the table is typically how I structure it, and we'll go get these deals done. So yeah, anyone listening, if they want to invest in anything that I've got going on, we're always looking to raise funds, and it's nice for us because I've been in the situation where I find a good deal and then it's a struggle to go raise all the funds. So it's definitely nice to dig your well before you're thirsty. So
Well
yeah,
put.
again, actively shopping for deals as we speak. So.
All right. So great. Ian, one last question. I know you're a new father. What does it look like in 10, 15 years? What's the why that keeps you going and what's it going to look like?
Yeah, so for me, like I enjoy what I do for sure. Like even now, like I've been able to step back a little bit and hang out with little man, which has been great.
Cool.
But for me is yeah, it's build that passive income to a point where, you know, don't have to work. Like I enjoy to work. I want to just do the things that I enjoy doing. Keep building that passive income, keep building that net worth and eventually just have that financial freedom to do whatever I want whenever I want and just yeah keep working towards that. So yeah, what it looks like for me is yeah keep growing the businesses here and away and then be able to step away a little bit more from it to spend more time with the kid.
Little guy. Nice, nice. No, well done, well done. So where do people find you?
Yeah, so can find me online. I mostly most active, I guess, on Instagram.
Yeah.
So that's Ian Armour Realty. That's probably the page where yeah, I do a lot of my updates there. Can certainly reach out via email, text, any of that stuff. Do you post all that stuff?
Yeah, yeah, sure. We'll leave it in the notes, in the
Yep,
show
yep.
notes for sure.
So yeah, go to the show notes. Any questions and stuff. Even if you're looking for your next steps on your journey of how you get here, I'm pretty open book. Love chatting real estate. So yeah, happily reach out.
Awesome. Thank you very much for taking the time. I think this is
Yeah,
great. We got a great overall view of who Ian is, and I love to reconnect with you down the road to see how things are going along because I think you're doing really well.
yeah, no, I appreciate that. And it's like again, each day is still a struggle, and it's nice to take a step back and reflect on how much is done because like each day still feels like a struggle of you got to learn a new skill or really hammer down on something else. So it is nice to step back and be like, wow, I actually have accomplished some cool things. So,
Well, you're not alone, brother. You're not alone.
yeah.
So enjoy. Thanks for
Awesome.
taking the time. All
Yes,
right.
thank you.
Bye-bye. Thanks for tuning in to the Mass Appeal podcast. Hope you found today's episode insightful. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe and leave a review. Your feedback will help us reach more inspiring investors. And remember, every step you take towards any goals brings you closer to better health, greater wealth, and a more fulfilled life. So I encourage you to take action and apply the insights you've gained today. Until next time, I'm Renee Masse, encouraging you to stay curious, keep grinding, and invest wisely. See you in the next episode.